The Season 1 Reloaded update for Black Ops 6 just dropped, and they completely changed up these settings. Like, we have a new sensitivity value, so we're going to be going through them all and finding the new best ones just for you. Ladies and gentlemen, currently I am Crimson 1 in Black Ops 6 multiplayer ranked, getting about 80 SR a game, and I should be iridescent by the end of the week, even though there's a lot of hackers on the game. Just letting you guys know that so you know I am credible to give you the best settings, and it's basically my job to be good, so rest assured you'll have the correct settings. And this will go for like Warzone, multiplayer, zombies, really doesn't matter the reason you're here. So I do use an Xbox Elite V2 controller, and then I have a tall Vortex control freak on that right stick, and I play with everything on this thing default. If you don't have a fancy controller or you don't want to play claw, then I do recommend you guys to play bumper jumper tactical. This allows you to jump with that top left bumper, then crouch with that right stick, allowing you to have good movement while still having very good aim. Now, as you guys can see, these sensitivities did change. I used to play on 6.6. Now it says 1.6. Whatever you played on before, it should default to that. It should be the same exact thing. They basically just gave us more control so you can really fine tune it. I recommend going into a private match, playing against bots for like about 100 to 300 kills until you find something that you really like. For me, I'm just going to keep it at 1.6. I don't really want to mess with it too much. If you guys are curious of all the values of what everything is, just so you can double check your stuff, take a screenshot of this so you guys can see that the values, if you have it on 6, it should be 1.6. If you played on 10, move it to 2.1, and you guys can get a general consensus of all the sensitivities right there. Now, next up, we are going to be going over to the controller vibration. Turn that off. I know sometimes when it vibrates, it feels nice, but just don't. You'll have better aim. Now, for the dead zone inputs, left stick min, if you want to be very responsive, make sure this is on 0. For the left stick max, you want to keep this between like 45 and 75. If we look at this chart, now all we have to do is move that stick from the center to 70%. If we want to hit max movement speed, if I lower this down to 45, all we got to do is move it to 45% to get the max movement speed. But that makes it so it's not as like responsive or makes it more responsive, but a little bit too much to where I mess up the movement. So I really like it on 70. You gotta, find the one that works best for you. By the way, if you're stressing about camos or simply just don't have time for them, check out my long-term sponsor, Guapsi. They will legitimately play in your account to hard unlock whatever you please. They can do the camos to the gun levels, and this goes for zombies, Warzone, and multiplayer. They don't use an unlock tool, and this doesn't break 2S, so there is no risk of being banned, and no one has before. So if you want to save your time and energy, go to the top link in my description and check out guapsi.com. Right stick min, I have mine on 5. Even though I have a lot of stick drift, like I should move it up to like 9, but I just feel like it's not that responsive, and I don't have as much control. If I gotta move it past 10, then I usually just get a new controller. Right stick max 99, left trigger, right trigger, keep those on 0. Now tapping over to the aiming settings. For the sensitivity multiplier, I do like to keep it on 0.85. Again, I went into a private match and just found a sensitivity that I was very consistent with. And so this does kind of vary person to person. A lot of pro players play on 1.0. Basically, there isn't just one best one. Now, I do like 0.85, and I recommend you guys to keep everything else on here the same, because I swear there's a little bit of input lag if you don't. Now, for the aiming advanced settings, we're going to have our ADS sensitivity transition timing on gradual. This is basically going to make it so it gradually goes down to that 0.85 instead of instantly, which is what we played on before. And a lot of pro players are swapping over to gradual. It feels like you get a little bit more aim assist or a little bit more control. You might like instant though. A lot of pro players still use that one, but I do recommend you guys to try out gradual. For me, it made me so much better. Third person ADS correction type off, and then aim response curve type. Make sure this is on dynamic. This is huge. This makes it so if there's 2 targets, you can swap or you can snap to each target a little bit more consistently. Makes all the targets feel a little bit stickier, and you just get overall more aim assist. I like 1.0. Havoc, the #1 player in this game, he plays on like 0.92. There isn't a single best one, but I think a lot of you guys will do the best with 1.0. Don't really think about the sensitivity too much. A lot of people go into like a wormhole, rabbit hole, a deep fucking hole of just like sensitivities, and they can't find the right one. You can get used to any sensitivity. You're just trying to find one that you're most consistent with. And so just overall, and then motion sensor advanced settings. Don't copy any of that. We don't need that. For the movement, I like tactical sprint assist. I used to play with just this on, so then all I have to do is click that left stick once, and I would start tac sprinting. I like to have auto tac sprint on now, because a lot of time when you're in a gunfight, you just slide into it. So the delay that tactical sprint gives you isn't going to really affect you unless you go into a hip fire. So overall, I recommend tactical sprint assist on. Mantle assist, you don't want to accidentally mantle on anything. You want to have full control of everything, so make sure this is on off. Crouch assist off. Corner slice, this doesn't give you any benefit, so it's really personal preference, My aim is better with this off, but you might like that on. Slide / die behavior, make sure this is on hybrid. If you have it on anything else besides tap to slide, you're gonna have a delay when you go to slide, making it feel like you're playing in mud. Hybrid is gonna remove that delay, but also allow you to dolphin dive if you hold down that left stick and click the slide button at the same time. Sprint restore and slide maintain sprint, you have to have these on. Parachute automatic behavior off. Mantle cancels reload off. Movement advanced settings, you guys can copy all of these things. In my movement guide video, I accidentally said to have it on single tap sprint. You want this on single tap run. This is going to make it so there's no delay whatsoever. The second you click that left stick, you guys going to start tack sprinting or running. Even though we have it on auto tack sprint, you still want it on single tap run. Plunging underwater free, sprinting door bash on. Vehicle behaviors, this stuff doesn't really matter, but if you want to copy that, feel free to. Now for the combat settings, we're going to have the aim down sight behavior hold, weapon mount activation, ADS plus melee, dedicated melee weapon activation, hold melee, body shield / finishing move behavior. I want to prioritize that body shield, so I have it on that. Armor plate behavior, apply all. Some players don't like that, but I think it's a lot better. C4 detonation activation all at once. Equipment behavior hold, manual fire behavior press. Combat advanced settings, feel free to copy all of these things. The interact / reload behavior, if you have on prioritize interact, this is super beneficial for Warzone because it allows you to loot very fast. But I also like it in multiplayer too, because if I'm in the heat of war and I gotta reload and there's a gun below me, I'd rather just pick up the gun below me and hope that there's ammo, and then I have a higher chance to win that gunfight than having to reload my gun. And typically if I'm going to be reloading, I'm already in a safe area, so I don't mind to have to hold to reload. So again, I like prioritize interact, but you might want to have tap to reload if you don't like that. Akimbo behavior independent, ADS sensitivity swap off, depleted ammo weapon switch on. For the scoreboard maps / stats behavior toggle, overlay advanced settings, feel free to copy all of these things. I have it on moderate because I couldn't use my streaks at all. So if you're having trouble in Warzone using your streaks, swap it over to moderate. If you're not, off will be the better one. Well, wheel behavior, hold, double tap, danger, this stuff really doesn't matter too much. Now that's going to wrap it up for the controller side of things. Let's get into the graphics. If you are on console, it's going to look a little bit different, but just go through this with me and just apply the settings that you have on your console. For the display mode, you will have less input lag if you have it on full screen exclusive, but since I'm streaming using the other monitors a lot, I have it on borderless. And then copy all of these things down right here. If you guys do find this video helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to get notified whenever I upload these videos, make sure you have the noties on, and a like is greatly appreciated. I am curious, what is your current sensitivity now in the game? Mine is 1.6 for the vertical and the horizontal. Now for the render resolution, keep that on 100. Dynamic resolution off. Upscale / sharpening. Fidelity is going to make your game so much more clear, so make sure this is on, and then max that out to a 100. Some players do like 50, so you got to find that range for you, but most of you guys should like 100. And then keep all of these on off. VRAM scale target, that's actually weird that it got lowered down to 70. I'm gonna have mine at 100 just because I'm on the gaming PC, so I want all the power to go to the game. Texture resolution, since I'm streaming, I like to have it on high, but normal should be fine. I don't really like low or very low because it just makes everything too pixelated and just lowers the visibility, and I feel like my eyes, I just barely can see the enemies, so then it gets really difficult. For the texture filter anastrophic, I heard that it doesn't affect your game whatsoever. Maybe you get like an extra 3 or 4 FPS if you have it on like low, but ultra, I just can see depth a little bit more, and it helps to see enemies laying down and just headies, so I like to have mine on ultra. Depth of field, make sure that's off. Detail quality low. Particle resolution very low. Bullet impacts, you will get more FPS if you have this off, but I like to see where I'm shooting if I'm doing like recoil patterns and things. Persistent effects off. Shader quality low. On-demand texture streaming minimal. I think I said that word wrong. Local texture streaming quality low. Shadow and lighting shadow quality very low. Screen space shadows high. This is going to make your camos look better, but if you don't care about camos, make sure that's on off. Occlusion and screen space sliding off. Screen space reflections, again, this makes your camos look better. If you don't care about that, have that on off. Static reflection quality low. Tessellation off. Volumetric quality low. Deferred physics quality off. Weather grid volumes quality off. Water quality off. And that's wrap it up for the quality settings. Now for the view settings. Motion reduction preset off. Field of view. So if I'm playing like rank play, I'm going to have it on 103. If I'm playing public matches or Warzone, I'm going to have it on 115 because it's a little bit more fun. Warzone, it actually is beneficial to keep it on like 115 because the map is so big, so you can see more if the enemies are flanking you and things. Multiplayer, the maps are so small to where you don't really need a high FOV. All the pro players play on like 97, 98, I think the highest one is like 105, and so that just basically makes all the targets a little bit bigger. It makes it feel like you have more aim assist, you have more consistent gunfights. And so again, if I'm sweating my balls off on multiplayer, I'll have it on 103. If I'm trying to have fun, 115. Warzone, always 115. ADS field of view affected, weapon field of view wide, third person field of view 90, vehicle field of view default, world motion blur and weapon motion blur, please have these on off. And then for the movement, just have it on the least. You want things to not be blurry, or you don't want things to shake that much. Inverted flashbang, if you don't want if you don't want a Diddy to come over whenever you get flashed, just turn that on, and then it's going to make the screen black instead. Benchmark, yeah, it doesn't matter. For the audio settings, I actually went through and found some really good frequencies and things like that, so you guys are gonna definitely learn a lot in here. So master game volume, I like to have it on 100. Dialogue and effects, just keep those at 100. And then gameplay music, I got sick of it already, so I turned that on off. This stuff is all up to you guys. I mean, like, it's personal preference. Enhanced headphone mode, have that on. Enhanced headphone mode configuration. I did buy the pack and it was pretty beneficial, but I didn't do the personalized audio. I don't think that actually is helpful whatsoever, but I do recommend getting the pay to win audio. I know it sucks. Audio mix, sucker punch is going to make the game sound very well. Some other players do like headphone bass boost, but most of the very good players I've been seeing use sucker punch, and I think I can hear so many more footsteps with that on. And then mono audio off, and you guys can copy all of these things. Now for the configure frequency intensity, this one is very helpful. Like, these settings I found are really good if you have like a gaming headset. I'm using the Kiwi Ear IEMs, and these ones feel very good for me. So we're basically gonna just increase the 250 hertz to 50, the 500 hertz to 50, 1K to 10, 2K to 5, 4K, 6K, 8K, and 10K. We're gonna have all these at -5, and it basically makes it so all the footsteps are a lot louder, while everything else, or a lot more bassy, so it's easier to hear. If you don't have a gaming headset, just keep everything on like default, because then it's gonna sound like very muffled. And I keep everything the same for the right channel and the left channel, and I was hearing a lot more footsteps when I did that. As well, if you're on PC, look up how to turn on loudness equalization. That is super OP, and a lot of people hate you if you use that, but if everyone else is using that and I'm playing against cheaters all the time, I am definitely going to use loudness equalization, and that's a benefit of PC over console. Now for the voice chat volume 50, voice chat on, proximity chat on. You guys copy all of these things on here. And then now for the interface settings, a lot of very important settings in here, so copy all of this stuff onto here. Telemetry, I just like to show the FPS, the server latency, and the packet loss. The rest of the stuff doesn't really matter too much. It is nice to actually have like packet loss and server latency off, so then it doesn't get in your head as you're playing. But it's a nice excuse to tell your teammates if you're ever doing bad. And then for the readability, copy all of these things. Don't go to color customization yet. We're just going to skip that for now. For the HUD presets, we'll come back to that. HUD balance, you want to make everything towards the center as much as possible. So then when you look at the minimap every 2 seconds in that kill feed, which you should be looking at constantly, because that tells you all the information of where the enemies are going to be, even if you don't have a UAV. This is going to make it so you have to look to the left or right as much. For the minimap shape, we're going to have it on square. As you guys can see, you can see a lot more of your map when it's on square. Minimap rotation on, radar off. The compass type, minimap, vehicle HUD prompts, in-game text, player names. Oh yeah, I really like to have full name. Just like the more indication that that's an enemy and that's not my teammate is very beneficial. Crosshairs, you want this on static. Crosshair dot on. This is kind of like how you find the good sensitivity, or why having a slower sense is better. It's so you can have better centering. Wherever an enemy could be, you want to put that white dot where they could be. So all you have to do is ADS and fire. If you don't have good centering, like say the enemy's over here and you're pre-centering this tire, then you have to like ADS and drag over rather than just ADS and fire, making it so there's a way higher chance that you're going to lose the gunfight. And so this crosshair dot stuff is pretty helpful. You want to swap this swope. I like larger. I'm 24, so not too old, but I feel like every day I can't see things. And so I just have it on larger, making it a little bit easier to center. If I'm on a big TV, I'll have it on largest. And then a crosshair spread on. Crosshair opacity at 100, and then static, just so you guys know, is very important. Makes it a lot easier to hip fire because you get those lines right there. Crosshair color, I like blue. I found that it's like easiest to see the enemies and just like keep that consistent center. It doesn't really blend in when I have it on that cyan blue. Up to you guys, whatever you want. Hit marker visuals on, damage based hit markers on, weapon information, copy all of these things. Now for the last part of these settings, actually no, there's one last thing in account and network, but before that we're going to go to our HUD presets. Keep this on standard, tab over to visuals, and then we are gonna be going over to the scale. I like 120. You could increase it to 150. It makes your minimap a lot bigger. It makes it so you don't have to look over as much to see, and you can really see where the enemies are. Like when I'm playing, especially in ranked, I'm looking at the minimap 24/7, more than the actual center of my screen, because it tells you where all the enemies are going to be at, and it gives you so much information. So I like 120 to make it a little bit easier to see. Minimap opacity, I like to have it on at 90, and then iron scale, copy all of these things. And then for the colors, we are going to be, I like to make my team green and then the people in my party blue, and then I just make it as vibrant as possible. And then for the color filter, filter 2 makes the game the most vibrant. You want to make sure that's on both, and then max out the intensities on both. That's going to wrap it up for the interface settings. Now lastly, for the account and network, you are basically going to want to turn off the dismember it and gore effects. That's going to give you a lot more FPS and just make it so your game doesn't crash as much. And then the rest of the things doesn't really matter on here. Clouded settings, a lot of people have this off, but like if I have it on off, I swear every time I load up the game the settings are different. So a little bit trial and error, just personal, it's different for everybody. But with all that said, that is going to wrap it up for these settings. And again, if you guys did find it helpful, a subscription is appreciated. Actually, for yourself, you will get better at the game. If you want to get notified, notice on, leave a like, leave a comment maybe if you're sensitive. I'm curious. And with all that said, deuces.